We're back with one more down. Today we have Stacey R. Collins, class of 1990, Chaney High School. Stacey was a fullback and defensive tackle for the 1990 City Series champion Chaney Cowboys. Stacey has been a lifelong friend of mine. I look at him as a big brother and an ally who's been beneficial to me in my life over the years. And I'm glad to have him on today to get a chance to talk about his upbringing, his development as a athlete, and then get into some of the things that life has taken him through as he transitioned from that identity as an athlete in high school to an adult man that's been around the world seeing different things and experiencing different people. Great to you grew up on Marion and Hellman primarily. If you would, could you give me some insight into your home life and your family dynamic, and just kind of give a touch on who your parents are, your siblings, and then we'll progress through the conversation from that.
Yeah, I sure can. Thank you. Yeah, just coming up first and foremost. It was family, church, and fun and friends. It's how I came up and how I associated myself in the community and how I still do it today. My mom, Patricia, dad, Cornelius. I primarily grew up. Well, I did grow up in a single parent household with my mom, but it was more of family raising because my mom's side of the family was always there, spending the night over each other's house. We were all like brothers and sisters, um, even though we were cousins, like you stated, Mark and Dwayne, uh, Rob, you know, all cousins, but were brothers because that's just how we came about. And then we had Tanya, Tosh, and all of them, Chantel, uh, which I named one of my daughters, you know, after her, spelled it different, but same deal. But I got my brother Jermaine, my oldest brother Jermaine, Nick, Dewan. Then I had my mom had my baby brother when I went away to college. So I'm 19 years older than my baby brother Curtis, and hey, it's just been good, and we primarily grew up on the south side, off of Marion and Hillman, right beside New Bethel Church. So you know, we stayed in church on Sundays, went to choir on Wednesdays, and that's just how our grandmothers made us roll. Which we fought a little bit sometimes, but at the end of the day, we loved it. So um, yeah, yeah, that's I gotta mention my grandmother, Bessie. So which anyone knew us, we didn't call her grandma or mama or nothing like that. We called her mommy. We called her mommy, and we called her our mom. So yeah.
You, I spent a little bit of time around a lot of those people that you just named. I grew up going to New Bethel, so I used to sneak out of Sunday school and jump over to the yard playing with Mark and Dwayne, getting my church clothes dirty, doing a little rough and tumble. But I
Right.
do remember the first time that I went into the house over there. They happened to be there one Sunday, and I stepped into the living room, and it was your mother and your Aunt Diane and Mark's mom, Aunt Deb, and
Yep.
then your grandmother was sitting there, and I remember Dwayne introducing me and telling everybody who I was, one of his friends from school, and
Right.
I said the word "huh," and your grandmother leaned up in the chair and said, "Huh." Is that how you talk? Is that how you was raised to talk? And she straightened me out right there on the spot. So that
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
was my very first introduction to mommy. And as I can think back to those times and just how instrumental she was in everybody's life. Everybody kind of gathered around her, and then as I remember us getting up into high school and her getting on in her years, just how your mom and your aunts made sure that she was secure and taken care of as best as they could to the best of their abilities.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
with
Yeah.
that, that to me stands out as a big theme when it comes to the Herons, the Collins, the Thompsons, the McClendons, everybody kind of pitching in and filling in and doing their part to make sure that the family is good. If you can, articulate that, where do you think that spirit comes from for your family?
Yeah. I really didn't know my grandmother's side. Her mom was full blood Indian, so we really didn't know that side at all because my great grandma died before at least I got to know her, but we you know grapple we called him grapple, which was great grandfather. Um, uh, you know, man, they just kept a tight household. I remember like we didn't live with them, but Mark and Deb lived with mommy at that time over off Glen Avon. And I remember we always like went to one house or another because I don't know. I mean, we just love being around each other. I mean, I guess that's what it was because it was like before we got our outside friends, we were all friends, you know, and it was like, man, can I go play with such and such? And it wasn't like, hey, I want to go over there so I can play with Johnny down the street. It was, hey, let me just go play with Stacey. Let me go play with Wayne. Let me go play with Mark. And that's just how it was. So we were, you know, we were family, but man, I mean, we were definitely friends. And yeah, forever those my dogs. So I think it was just mommy. Her grandkids, great grandkids, um, and any of the kids that got to know her, no matter what stage it was in her life, uh, we all gravitated around her, and she made sure like that's just the way it rolls. So, even my mom or somebody didn't want to go to church when mommy pull up, everybody going to church. You know what I mean? We like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. We about to sneak out of here. Mommy pull up. Oh, hey, she like, I don't got time for you change clothes. Go ahead, leave those jeans on. We going, and
Now, certainly your uncles played a major role in being father figures for the boys, from my recollection. Um, what did your uncles instill in you guys, and more so from your perspective? What type of instructions did they impart to you about being a man and how you carry yourself and how you protect your family?
yeah, protection one thing, because everything. My uncles was kind of like, if you watch, you knew. You know, they 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 went on about their roles. Hey, listen, I gotta go to work. This is this, and they just marched on, did what they did. They see if you got interest in this and interest in that. But I mean, we talk about Uncle Bruce, which is Wayne's dad, always there taking us to games and sitting down explaining sports and stuff like that. I ain't even like baseball, but hey, Uncle Bruce loved it, so I had to see what it was all about. You know what I mean? So that, and he's a Yankees fan. And Uncle Lee, Uncle Lee, I mean, man, my guy, like, I mean, he taught me. I was programming at the age of 11, and here I am, you know, lightweight, one of the coolest network engineers in the world. But whatever. I'm an IT guy. So yeah, but yeah, that I believe definitely derived from, and it's crazy because Uncle Lee wasn't a computer person. But he wanted to make sure that we had all the things that was possible to. I thought it was just to entertain us. Uh, my uncle Mike, you know, just came, did his job, and he went to the military. Had a couple um, uncles that did military, and but Uncle Mike is one that I remember. He went to the army. He boxed for the army, and so forth. And we knew whenever there was an issue, you know, my mom, one of her dates acted up. We already knew, hey, let's call Uncle Mike. He about to knock him out. You know, we were kind of, we were agitators too. We got stuff started.
As we grew up in the late 70s, entering boyhood in the early part of the 80s, we went through a lot of transitions in Youngstown. And, some of the family dynamics that we had begin to change from the traditional nuclear household. And, there's some fracturing in our community in that regard. I think what our personal friends said, the guys you and I kind of gravitated to and grew up around, we each have challenges with our view and our father-son relationship and our father-son dynamic. For you, what were the challenges of maybe not having a dad right there next to you, uh, grooming you on a daily basis? How did that shape your confidence and your self view in the midst of growing up in Youngstown and kind of being aware of what everybody else's dynamic may have been?
Yeah. So uh, definitely, I had mentors for sure. From the time, man, I want to say the boys' club allowed us to, I think, get in probably about 6 or 7 years old. Um, I think I wasn't allowed to like walk on the street with my brother until I was about 7. So he's about just under 2 years older than me. So I wasn't really allowed to walk like down Marion and up Oak Hill to the boys club until probably 8, 9. But yeah, so they had Mr. Forrest, Mr. Allen Melv, um, great mentors. Uh, Always talk football, this and that, different sports, taught us shoot pool and things of that nature. So like you know, as far as just a round base of uh, social skills was definitely learned there. Because my mom, she really didn't play. It was like, hey, get your schoolwork done. You know, you're not doing anything until you get your schoolwork done. I remember, some of my friends thought it was sweet. Like, man, this guy get to do whatever, whatever. He came over my house. I ain't even gonna put you out there. You know who you are. But hey, came over to the house. He like, man, we gonna play this. And I'm like, man, you came over early, dog. Hey, my mom ain't playing. We about to do this homework. Yeah. Hey, even if he said he did it all, she like, go over your spelling.
Um, so, I kind of want to ask you in terms of you touched on something in terms of being competitive. You mentioned the boys club being instrumental in kind of shaping you and giving you an outlet for activities and turning you on to new ideas and new things. um, what role did your older brother play in leading the way in terms of that athletic path? He was obviously a great basketball player in our area,
Yeah.
and just remembering who he was as a young man and an individual, you know, as I look back at it now, he was a scrappy guy, and he didn't take a lot of stuff off of anybody. But I think some of that comes with just being the oldest child and making sure that nobody is leaning the wrong way on your younger siblings.
Yeah,
Can you speak to some of that in terms of the relationship between you and Jermaine as young
yeah,
boys and kind of, you know, getting into those early experiences of trying different sports out?
yeah, man. Let me tell you, man. That's. I mean, all my brothers, my bro, but me and him, we got that run before we had other brothers. So yeah, that's my guy. You know, I mean, we fought a lot, each other, and out in the streets. But he always like, nah, hey, you ain't gonna be soft. Now I'm thinking, who is he calling soft? I don't know where he got that from, but we were always fighting. But as much as we did, I was the same, just like any other little brother. I looked up to my big brother. You know, um, some of the things I thought it was kind of crazy, but I'm like, I mean, hey, that's him. I realized like I'm not doing everything that he does, but you know, uh, my mom, we had crazy money at all. So, but she believed she was an athlete, so and my Uncle Mike, he'd be like, oh Patty, get Jermaine in the boxing or this and that. So hey, Jermaine got the boxing classes, he got the, karate classes, you know. I'm the little bro sitting on the steps. Just watching him, trying to figure out like why I'm not in this class, but he'd be like, all right, hey, come on. So, we get home, he'd be like, I know you want to know it and stuff like that. So we would go over, I'd be just practicing with him and stuff like that. And yeah, like man, we played so many years with the boys club. Um which was crazy first and foremost, because I swear we had the most talent in the city. I swear we had the most talent in the city. I think we lost like every game 3 years straight. Crazy. I was like, what? And I'm like, I'm not even counting myself. I'm looking at them, got my cousin Rob there, got my cousin Leonard, got Jermaine, got man, listen, if I showed you a couple of those boys, I mean, from that boys club clips from 3 years, man. I mean, okay, there's quite a few that did not make it out of their early 20s. Uh, but then you got, they went on to be, you know, high school superstars, college superstars, and unfortunately, I don't get to keep up with everybody to see what they doing in their adult life. But I think if they made it through those times, I think they're doing pretty well. So um,
Talked on previous podcasts and interviews with different people. We all went through that racial balance transfer and not being eligible to play initially. For you, you kind of uh, did opted not to participate in athletics initially through high school, but 1990 you decide to come back out for football. What was behind your what was the reason behind you waiting till you were a senior to try the game again?
yeah, so what most did not know was in junior high I had got into a fight with one of my buddies, and I tore ligaments in my knee, and my doc said, "Listen, if you keep trying to play football and somebody hits you in that knee, you're gonna be limping for the rest of your life. So I was like, well, I mean, okay, well, I guess I can find something else to do, which I really didn't play basketball. So I started picking that up, trying to figure out what my life would be like doing that, because all I knew was football, football, football. And my senior year, well, it was the junior year, going to the end of the junior year. It was weightlifting and stuff like that. And and I knew uh Wayne and Mark wanted to play, and they were like, man, Stace, you want to try out for Chaney with us? Like, man, it'd be good. Like, you're gonna be a senior next year, leaving. You know, do you want to give it one last go? Because I was cool not playing, to be honest with you. And when they asked, I thought about it, and no adult came up to me, because my mom, like, whatever you want to do, you know. If anybody knew what was why I wasn't playing, she did, obviously, right? Because she one took me to the doctor and said, listen, if he rip his leg off playing, I mean, that's his life, So yeah, I went ahead, started weight training with the guys and stuff like that, and just trying to get into the groove. And once I got back into it, now of course I'm like, man, I was linebacker last time I played this game. So I'm like, man, what, I'm trying to think, like, shit, what do Chaney need? Like, I don't know, because you and I, I've been there for a couple years now, and man, they lost, crazy for like 10 years straight, so I was like, well, I mean, I guess we can go out and give it the old raw, see see what we can do.
I'm glad that you bring that up because, with us being Southside guys, I think a lot of the attention that you pay towards athletics kind of starts with your side of town and the guys that you may have grew up with and palled around with. So for me, my eye was on South and what they're doing. And then the second option was usually Wilson because my sisters went there, and then it would go ran east, and Chaney for me was a afterthought or not a thought at all. So when you talk about that um, period of losing or lack of success before you decide to re-enter into the game, what does that do for you in terms of your prospects and your outlook? Were you in it to make a change for wins, or were you uh, in it to fulfill, the request of your cousins?
But yeah, I was content. Like I say, my uncle got me programming at like 11 years old. So I kind of always knew, like, I I'll go to college and get some type of job doing these computers, and and that was kind of my mindset, you know. And when Wayne and Mark, asked me, and we got out and we played, and we had a, city wise, we had a great year. You from where I'm from, which you are, and a lot of the guys were like, yeah, we're not comfortable sitting the bench, so I'm looking around like, okay, this or this, and then you had to weigh the option. I wasn't used to, uh for real, actually have to uh condition or try to entertain like a white coach. I'm used to having black coaches, and they understanding the aggression and this and like they know the athletes and this because I don't we weren't just athletes, you know. We knew the game inside out. You can put us at whatever position, we're gonna play it, and we're gonna play it the best of our ability. So I wasn't worried about getting playing time, but I was worried about starting. Where am I gonna start? you know, because that's one of the main things. People like, oh, hey, he didn't return to football. What's he gonna do? So that yeah, that right there was one of the things that I I was something that weighed on my mind as we start going and I remember we end up getting our equipment and stuff like that and I find myself on the shit, I don't even know what they're called these days, on the non-starter side, which I understood. Like, I didn't play for the program and stuff like that. And they're not saying anybody was anything else, but I knew who I was, So um, I'm looking like, man, I ain't getting no reps, you know, on with the first string. They just kind of throwing me in and like they plan me different positions and stuff like that. And hey, here this and this and I'm like, man, these guys, do they know what they're doing? I'm like, I'm fast, so I don't know exactly what's going on. Like, you guys got me a defensive tackle, you know, and but the thing was, I wasn't scared of hitting. As a matter of fact, I enjoyed the hitting. I came up and bull in the ring. So yeah, and a lot of times I'm in the ring. So yeah, yeah, that, if I had to say one thing coming back, it was, what position was I gonna play?
We had some individuals that were capable in certain positions and some that were there and just filling a position. If I can remember back, to me, it seems like as the season kind of went on and Coach Lamonji recognized that you could do a more than adequate job playing that defensive tackle position than the guys that they had in there initially, and it was effective when you came in at that position. As we look across there, I remember that Fitch game being the opener, and they were pretty
Oh yeah,
decent. And you didn't really get a lot of run in the
I
front
did.
part of these losses, but when you started to be rotated in on defense and you were being used as a blocking back on offense, it freed up Mac and Sylvester to have some bigger holes and a person in front of them that wasn't contact shy. And then on defense, once we got into that city run, you rotating in at defensive tackle, if I remember right, it was yourself, John Turek,
John
and
Turner. Yep.
George Wallison,
Yeah.
and then
Wallison played on the other side, but yeah, him and Big Shane.
right.
Yeah.
So as you think back to some of these games, we got Fitch with Chris Davis. You had a great Campbell Memorial team with a lot of guys that you're familiar
Yeah.
with. Julio Gore, Dylan McCullough is on that team.
Yeah.
Demond Drayton is on that team. We go down to West Virginia and play Brook, which I don't think any of us had ever heard of prior to being at the
Yeah.
stadium. And come to find out, these guys are ranked in the top 25 in USA Today, and we play them to a 3-0 loss.
You didn't even know that field goal that they made, right? My fingers touched that. Yeah, I was disgusted for a while.
Well, but it says a lot about what what that team was kind of made up of, because if you take a lot of teams that didn't have success prior uh, the previous seasons coming into that, and you take them somewhere out of the state, that you find out that this is a highly ranked program nationally, it says something about Youngstown kids and Youngstown boys, that you go into an environment and you play a game that tightly contested. What are some of your memories about periods throughout the season, and your level of comfort, um, and getting kind of more ingrained into the system as the season wore on? I'd like to hear your personal thoughts on how that played out for you personally.
Yeah, what happened, we got the wins, but the more and more I got to play, the more and more I got a little comfortable. Yeah, I had to share the time. And I knew I was gonna have to share the time, but there was times I needed that break. Listen, because they start figuring out schemes to block me and this and that, and it got crazy. But I think when they really found out, like, I can play, was probably the Boardman game. It was the Boardman game. I don't remember who the quarterback was, and but I know he was ranked. You know, and I remember him saying, like, I'm over on the right side. I'm right side defensive tackle, and I'm getting through. Man, man, that line was so big, and but I'm getting through. I'm chasing me, and he's screaming like, "Well, somebody stop 34!" He's in. I remember it, and he went to do a pass, but it was more like a sweep to the right so he can stretch it out. Well, he had to stretch it because I was coming, and he threw it, but I still hit him, and he went out. Probably one of the greatest compliments I got just playing was he got up, I got up, he tapped my helmet. He's, man, you playing some hell of a ball. It's like,
When we get into that city competition, we go 4-0, win the league title. What are some of your thoughts about those battles in the city, and bringing some pride and uh, recognition back to the West Side?
oh yeah, yeah. I was definitely some of them saying, well, crazy part, before I got to Chaney, I attended East, I attended South. I actually worked out for Coach Demesco before my mom pulled it. Was like, listen, you keep fighting on the South Side. I'm sending you over to Chaney. So that was a done deal. But she pulled that kind of at the end of the year, and that was all it wrote. Hey, I'm shipped off to Chaney, because I grew up with those guys on the South Side. Well, I'm a South Sider, so I grew up with them. So we were all looking forward to me getting on the field with them and doing this. And then, hey, here it go. A couple years later, hey, I'm playing. You got Booker New. I can just go on, because I just know so many of the guys from all the different teams, and like there's a lot of beef and ruckus within the city for different sides of town. But Saints had friends everywhere. You know, so I enjoyed that, and also like winning. I like beating them, and letting them know, like, listen, hey, I know even when I was elsewhere, we counted Chaney out. Y'all ain't counting us out now, though. Listen, I proudly went to the house parties and stuff like that. I might rock a Chaney jersey. Hey, I am who I am. So yeah, yeah, it was nice to like come back and beat, you know, I gotta call on my peers because the only school I didn't go to, well, there's two. There was Rand and Wilson, but most of the people that was at Wilson I played with as well. So yeah, just to come and beat up on everyone within the city, and they didn't give Chaney a chance, to be honest with you, and here we come undefeated, so within city limits, of course. Um, yeah, so it just felt great. It felt great.
For you, when you leave in high school, you had stated earlier how your Uncle Lee exposed you to things that uh, made you realize that you had other options and other avenues that you could pursue. You initially go off to school over in Pittsburgh and attend Sawyer Business School. Um, you know, when you're making your transition through that initial college experience, where are you at in your mindset in terms of what you thought your outlook would be for that time period in your life?
Yeah. So although yeah, so I walked away from the game. Um, and I thought it was a big deal, because I love that game. That game, football gave me just that confidence, that gridiron, that smack, this just yeah, the camaraderie, you know, um, finishing what you started. And so I say, well, let me go ahead and put that towards getting this degree. And I got it in travel and hospitality management. So, I'm thinking like, man, I'm probably gonna be a travel agent. I don't want to do the hotel because back then, like they used to say, like, man, you got to start as a door clerk or something like that. But that's some big hotels in Pittsburgh back in the day. Um, it changed a lot. So I was more focused on being a travel agent, which that is what initially did. And that was what, 91 and 93. I graduated. I didn't even walk the stage. Uh, by the time the stage was being walked, excuse me, I had joined the Marine Corps. I was getting ready to be shipped off. So yeah, like yeah, from my externship, my boss said, well, if you expecting to get paid, you got to travel the world. And I'm trying to think, well, how am I going to travel the world? And I was going to take my suits to the cleaners, and I remember I seen Sergeant Green. He was a local recruiter for Marine Corps, and he was like, would you trade one of these uniforms for a suit? And I'm like, man, this dude up there always playing. Yeah, what I mean? He think he embarrassing somebody. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, give me a card though. Hey, I don't know. Give me a card. I looked at the card a couple times. I gave him a call. I said, man, well, at least let me see what I can do. And I went, took the pre PFT and all of that, and took a mock ASVAB, and he like, yeah, oh man, your numbers shining and stuff like this, and I'm like, I mean, whatever, man, So I end up doing that, and before you know it, I shipped off February 21st, 1993. Marine Corps started.
So making a decision to serve the country and join a branch as gritty, aggressive, and focused as the Marines. What parts do you pull from your football and athletic experience and applying that to getting through boot camp, being in a new environment, being taken to places far away from your familiar surroundings and being separated from family. Can you talk about some of the aspects of making a decision like that at a younger age?
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, when when you leave, first foremost, going away because I said, well, I don't want to stay in Youngstown, right? So I said, well, let me see about this school in Pittsburgh. So I say, so I'm not that far away. So if just in case, I get homesick, I wasn't really for sure how I was, but I remember on summertime, we would go to Wisconsin, visit my aunt Sherry and stuff like that, and I'll be with my grandma. And, she like, boy, she like, you must want to see the world. She was like, because you the only kid that never goes to sleep. Go to Wisconsin. That was Beloit, Wisconsin. That was, I want to say 6, 7 hours. I'm not really for sure, you know, but I know I never went to sleep. I always wanted to look out the window and see what I probably won't see again. And you know, so so going to Pittsburgh kind of allowed me to say I can go away from the family a little further. I didn't know it was going to take me around the world, but yeah, so that happened. But from a football perspective, I'm like, when I went and did my mock PFT, I had to run um, 3 miles. No, the mock PFT, I ran a mile, and I ran in 6 something minutes, and I was like, man, I was just cruising. But leaving high school football, even going to college, me and my man Chief Sean McCormick, we still ran through the city. We jogged through the city, you know, and stuff like that, so and lifted weights. So I still kept, physically fit. So that piece of it, football kept me like, hey, listen, ain't nothing wrong with staying in shape. You can do this, you can do that. So uh yeah, I tell you what, getting off that bus, uh we went ahead, flew and got down in the Paris Island, getting out off that bus and these guys yelling, man, it took me way back. Coaches in your face, yeah, 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 and I'm like, man, this guy sound like he want to kill me. It wasn't nothing like, it was same, like you do something wrong, coach, go ahead, grab you by the face mask, talking to you, spit in your face while talking, you're like, oh man, dang. All right, I messed up, so with boot camps, for the Marine Corps boot camp is 13 weeks. I want to say the first 3, 4 weeks, man, where that's a phase right there. That's first phase. You getting all of that every day, and you gotta figure you got all these guys in here, and you gotta figure out how to bond and and that piece kind of reminds you of being on the gridiron, practice and this and this, you know. Um, Somebody that fell behind, like you like shit, your tank is halfway empty, but you running back to go get them. Like, come on, man. Hey, you don't want to get dogged out. Let's go get them. And it was never about them seeing me help this guy out like I'm a team player. No, that's just instilled in me. You know what I mean? You always want that man that you call a teammate to come in. Like, listen, hey, we need to work out a little more. Hey, let me know. We go ahead and get you stronger. Do this, do that, and just it was a lot of exercise. The first 3-4 weeks. I mean, it continued. Don't get me wrong, but like you know, that first 3-4 weeks, that was like just 2 days all the time. You know what I mean? While they instilling different things in you that you don't know that they're doing. Then you're like, oh well, they like everybody cross your legs. You like what? They stretching you because we got to learn to shoot sitting down and stuff like that. Legs for stability wise, you got to learn to cross your legs. So you learn flexibility and all of that stuff, and you didn't really know why you did it half the time. So that was just like learning a new position at football. Yeah.
What, if you can think back to your personality, your decision making, some of the seriousness that comes with life's challenges, what parts of the Marines developed you and uh, expanded you and pushed you to higher heights in terms of wanting to achieve, in terms of wanting to accomplish. How did that um, experience being a soldier change you as a person?
Yeah. I'll definitely. And let me change. Let me stop there for a minute because I know any of my Marines watch this, they'll burn me up about it. We are not soldiers.
Forgive me,
we are,
I don't
hey,
know. I'm just a
hey,
football
yeah, yeah, yeah.
player.
Hey, we are Marines. We're the amphibious group. You know, um, but yeah, no,
This planet that we're on, and you get exposed to these different cultures around the world. You know, what are some of the things that changed your viewpoint on your world outlook as you travel to different places around the globe?
yeah. That was big. College did help a little bit. Um, but understanding, we from Youngstown. Young Youngstown for the most part, and I ain't shade nobody, but Youngstown's really black and white. Man, to hear different languages and all of that stuff was, I- man, that was beautiful to me. So I was like, oh man, hold on, I think I want to learn some Japanese. Oh, hold on, I didn't take Spanish serious. So just hearing and learning different customs, you know, was was great. So yeah, that piece of it, yeah, I'd still carry it today. So
When you're in a place like Japan, I know you guys are on base a lot of times, but as you kind of get out and maneuver and see, like, maybe some of the corridors that aren't necessarily the tourist lane, but what type of conditions people are really living in regular neighborhoods, cities. Um, what are some of the things that you've seen in your travels in terms of um, what we would view as rich and poor, or violent, or the haves and the have-nots. How does that look in different corridors from the places that you were stationed in?
yeah, so let's just stay there for a second. Just Japan in general. Um, First and foremost, I thought the U.S. was loved just about everywhere unless we was fighting with them. Um, that was not true, and I don't want to say because I never took a poll or anything like that. So I won't say it was 50-50, but there was um Japanese, well, and they would correct me and say we're Okinawan, not Japanese. So yeah, they would go ahead, and there was those that loved us, and then there was those that wanted us out of there. Like we're occupying land, which we were, obviously that came from the treaty, World War II. Um, um, but yeah, just over on um, Fatima, which was one of the bases, Marine Corps bases, outside the gates of Fatima, you know, didn't realize, like, we were killing cattle. We weren't like trying to, but, and I'm saying it as Marines, Americans, you know, I wasn't there. I just happened to go by Fatima and see, like, people stand outside with the pickets and all of that stuff. So, um, our ranges and stuff like that, we may have overshot a range or something, killed cattle and other things, to where um, uh, Americans were neglectful, and and a lot of Okinawans wanted us off the island. So to just recognize that, and and understand where they were coming from, because we weren't always welcome in every neighborhood when we came up. So to understand where they were coming from, I thought it was a good thing, and it made me realize, like, I'm I'm not stuck saying that, me or Americans are always right, and things of that nature. So yeah. And there's gruesome things that took place over there that I won't discuss on camera, but yeah.
Um, you know, when you think about those transitions from boyhood to, you know, your young teen years, early 20s, you've transitioned into life where you've you've had a family of your own, you're uh, raised children, you have grandchildren that are part of your world now. When you look back, sometimes when we play this game, we might come up against an opponent that is better. You may have uh, days where you don't feel good because you're injured or hurt. What have been the greater challenges in your life?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest is pride. Um, very, very prideful of how we go out, how we win, how we carry ourselves, and just prideful in how people think about us. And I think I had one of my toughest lessons. Um, even understanding computers and stuff like this, I wasn't getting network subnet, and that's some computer with numbers, and you gotta do some math to figure it out. But it just wasn't snappy for me. I done went to um, a Cisco class that cost me roughly about $3,500, to which we did not have, and my wife at the time, Kat, she believed in me. Even though I came home, because it's a boot camp, so it's not like a semester or anything like that. It's a week. I done came home like my second day, and she could just see the frustration on my face, and she was like, "What's up?" I'm like, man, I've been in this damn class for 2 days. I don't know what the instructor talking about, you know. And she was like, then raise your hand and tell him. She like, oh, let me guess. What she say? She's Filipino, so some of her words be off the chain. But it was all about the pride. Let me, like she's like, yeah, basically, I'm too prideful to admit I don't know what he's talking about or where he's at, you know, and I listened to it and I'm like, so is that my problem? And I slept on it, got up, went to the class again, raised my hand, and we got it worked out. We we found out what I was missing, and yeah, I mean, man, now I something there and the whole thing, like, yeah, everything, but yeah, you know, besides my kids, I owe that to her for my career, you know, and it wasn't her uh, teaching me that, but uh, what she taught me was humility, because with pride comes humility, right? So you gotta give to get to give, you know, and humility, humbleness, all of that plays a factor. And she was like, no one's too big to ask for help. And then that's same in football, that's same in the Marine Corps, that's same in life. People fall down. If you live life long enough, everyone falls down. And 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 the thing is, are you too prideful to ask for help to get up? No. Just I didn't realize I needed it. Just on a soft note. I didn't realize I needed help when my brother passed. You know, and I became a different person, and it took me 10 years to realize I was terrible. I started treating people and like I wasn't trying to. It just happened. You know what I mean? But what they say: hurt people hurt people. And I actually apologized to both my ex-wives, and I mean, what good it did, I don't know. They probably flipped me off, but that piece was what it was, and I don't say that to be ignorant about it. I did apologize, and one said, thank you. Another one, God was okay, Stace. But it took me a while to realize it, and the only reason I actually realized that I was depressed or down is because I seen how my kids were affected when you know either they had a depression or something of that nature. Till when I went to go get them help and was like, I need help myself, you know. So yeah, so that was a huge life lesson, and I don't know if you know humility, pride, anything of that would have actually helped me there because I was just so hurt. So yeah.
We've talked about a myriad of things regarding coming of age, participation in athletics, navigating through young adulthood and manhood. Um, the theme of our show is One More Down. We ask all of our guests this philosophical question of, if you had that one more down in your life to repeat, whether that be in the athletic arena, on the gridiron, with family, friends, what would that be for Stacey Collins? If you had that one more down to do over again, um, what would you do with it? Who would be with you? Uh, could you set that up for us?
Yeah. So, man, I didn't even touch on it. Um, because there's been so much in my life to be grateful for. To, yeah, that is life, the ups and downs. That's what life is, you know. Um, if I had one more down, man, I would have to say it would have to be Chaney picture day, where I was rushing my mom to go to get pictures with with cheerleaders, yeah. Well, we got in a car accident that day. Drunk driver ran through a light. She was taking Dwayne, Mark, myself, and Dwan was there with us. He wasn't playing, but he would come to the field. And she got brain injury. Yeah. So, and I swear it changed our lives, and maybe it made me look at my life a little different retrospect, or a different aspect. But I know it changed hers severely. And if there was one more down, it would definitely be that day. So
It's about your one more down. It kind of speaks to the person that I have always known you to be. Family is always at the forefront of your thoughts. Just knowing you for 45 plus years at this point, and seeing some of the challenges and the things that you've had to navigate throughout life. Certainly losing a sibling is hard territory for anybody to go through. The challenges of growing up on the south side of Youngstown as young men in the 90s, and just trying to create and carve a path for yourself that leads to safety, security, and advancement. I think a lot of us have those same feelings about just wanting to do good and make your family proud and represent those morals and values that were put into you. I know as a friend over the years, the times where I've come to Virginia and visited with you, you always had an open door for you guys. Anytime we get together as a group, we always have a lot of laughs, and we ride each other like brothers would.
absolutely.
It wouldn't be Youngstown if we didn't make fun of each other's shortcomings. But I think that's the ties that bond us together and keep us galvanized. One of the things that I always like to say is, there's nothing like a Youngstown friend. In hard times they're gonna have your back. In good times they're gonna cheerlead you on. And then for us to be in our early 50s and watching each other, try different things through life, marriages, becoming fathers, in some cases becoming grandfathers, and just knowing, the careless youth that we were at times. I think the men that each of us have developed into is a reflection of the good people that we were surrounded by and mentored by. And, for me to get a chance to have a conversation with you and listen to you bring up some of the topics and give your perspective, it just does me a lot of good internally, because I know who you are at your core. I value you as a man. I value you as a friend. And I just wish that you have continued success and are able to reach your highest heights and enjoy life the way that you want to going forward.
Same here, sir. I wish you nothing but the best, right? The Don.
I thank you for jumping on with me tonight, man.
I appreciate it.